they're opting for a much more direct approach. Simple passes followed by route one when needed. But look at the bounce there. Another long ball over the top. And that means that Egyptian back three have to be on their guard at all times. And we've got there. Yes, it looked offside. Good decision by the ref's assistant. It's a good foot in once again. He's a powerful unit. He's the striker, Bilal Mazar. Another Nigerian player goes down. This time it's Abu Bakar. Making his first start in this tour. In fairness though, it's a good tackle by Ani. Egypt's coach, Gaber, he says he's getting a little impatient. His ball met by a second chance that Nigeria have wasted really after the free kick. Egypt's turn to play route one. They may not have won the duel, but they've won a throw-in and advanced about 40 metres down the pitch. Awad. Played right back in the draw against Mozambique. Here he's playing much further upfield. Effectively as a wing back in this 3-4-3 formation. Worked by Egypt. Very well worked indeed, the 19-year-old. Plays his foot with the kick, for the shot rather. He made a mess of that with that air kick. Can Nigeria capitalize? Good passing. Letting the ball do the work. Over the halfway line they come. A little bit too much on that ball. It's a pity. Asking a line of Abu Bakar. They've not even played 15 minutes. Eshu. See too much of him down the middle. Being eclipsed by his strike partners, Khalil. And having header out by the captain, Daniel Bamei. But there's no respite. It comes back in again. Desperate foot in. Good one as well. Awad seeing a lot of the ball down that right channel. You get the impression he's enjoying playing further up pitch. 50-50. Ball was loose for a split second there. Corner kick to Egypt. Swung in and headed out. Well, try Exo in his first start. Everyone protests their innocence. Don't they always? Referee says he's watching them. The referee disagrees. The referee's word is final. Awad slowed the pace of the game down. Take the throw in. Egypt to be dispossessed. Win the ball back. Awad. Look at this. Hammer and tong in the middle of the park. No quarter given. None being asked. Awad to Fayed. Gets it back. Does the wing back. Good run down the line. Good interception in the end by Obailu. They could do worse than taking their time with this throw-in, Nigeria, because they're under the cosh. Not quite on the ropes. But they're pinned back in their own defensive half. Hani switches the direction of the attack. Khalil dispossessed. That time Nigeria win their duel. Well played, Frederick, in the heart of that central defence. You can hear that direction. Wanted the ball quickly. Egypt have this happy knack of getting first to the ball. These second balls. Look at that again, superb leading of the line. And the handoff, that's all within the laws. That's clumsy. Very clumsy. Just a sensible thing, Mohammed, by apologising to Majed Hani. Awad, dispossessed. Look who it is, Abu Bakar, the centre forward back defending. Oh, he's been caught in possession. That's clumsy by Aminu. Can't afford to turn on the razzle-dazzle in that area of the pitch. Tries a shot from distance. Well, it was always ambitious, that Mohamed Hamdi with the shot. Slightly off balance, the ball was running away from him. Didn't make the final shot any easier. Just about got his clearance off in the nick of time to the captain, Bamei. Well played, fired. Eshu, dropping deep as the centre forward. That's a good foot in by Awad. And a good burst of speed by Eshu. Referee ruling that's a foul. Interesting play, Eshu. He's hard to pick up. There he's on the right wing, which is where he started last weekend in that draw with Mozambique. Before that, you saw him deep in the midfield. Ask the questions of the defence of Nigeria. Do you play your man marking, or do you go zonal? You go zonal, communication, and Yaboso. It'll be the trusty left boot of Hamdi. Waiting, of course, for the referee's whistle, but he's too busy keeping an eye on the commotion in the penalty area. That's the signal by Khalil and by Mazza. Hamdi whips it in. Oh, well played, goalkeeper. You can't do that. That's a foul. But he got what he wanted. Interesting free kick whipped in. The goalkeeper did really well, because his defender missed the ball completely. Knew there was a lot of bodies around him. Opponents, I mean. He's on the books of Al-Khali, along with Vince Zamalek in this Egyptian squad. A couple of players play their football abroad. Bilal Mazar is one of them. The pretty long journey over. That's a great tackle. Chance to counter. That's a foul, surely. Awad. And his arms raised. That's a clear push in the chest. Good idea by the captain, Bamei, to draw the sting out of the game in a pretty pacey game. Aminu, his first start in the group. The referee into Egypt's penalty area, and again, better by Nigeria. And they win the 50-50. Things are looking up. They're past the halfway mark of his opening 45. It's a heavy touch under pressure. Abalaka. Well, nicely done. Abalaka gets it back. Needs a good delivery and gets it. Loose ball. First touch is heavy. Made up for it with a shot though. Aminu. And Marklouf with his first save of the game. Better by Nigeria. Much better. Egypt decide the best form of defence is attack, and that's nicely played by Frederick. To the path of his defender. But that blind pass didn't work. Asking an awful lot of his teammate, Kalirusaki. He gets out the way sharply. Well played him. Well, he didn't need to do that. The Egyptian defence had done the job by double marking. Slight petulance. Banayi. Oh, that's a pity. Abalaka falling at the worst possible time. Falling over, that is. Taking his time here, Awen. He's been so busy. Deserves a breather. And it's Egypt's turn for the air kicks. Not a character. Bahani. Safety first. Excellent control. Great first touch. Ogbelu. 19-year-old. This is football at Nazawara United. Along with two of his teammates. Benjamin Frederick. Ping ball in the middle of the park there. Nigerian player down. But the good news is Frederick back up on his feet. Aidan Bosso. He's feeling the pressure. Good pace on the delivery. It's a confident goalkeeper, Marklouf. Well, if you're on the books of the Egyptian champions, the heavyweights, Al-Khali, that's a lovely piece of play. Chance now. Stolen to Mohammed. Nobody there. Outnumbered by the red shirts. But that was a mistake. Did well. Stole in. After Fayed had been muscled off the ball by Abu Bakar. Nigeria learning they've got to be as aggressive as the hosts Egypt. That's a brave header. Referee gives him the benefit of the doubt. Running into space. Well played. They're expecting the free kick there. But as I said, the word obviously has come from the bench. It's gone down the line to the Nigeria team. They've got to beef up. Make more muscular challenges. If you're studying your nature, it can be tricky. Character anyway. Is easier. You've got a bit of spite in you, bit of edge, the devil. It's well played. The more aggressive they play, the more 50-50s they're winning. What about this one? Goalkeeper Marklouf, safety first, taking no chances. Anticipated after reading the danger. Well played. equally good play. Ahmed Reda came over from the right. He was never really on the shot, but he thought he'd go for it anyway. Rebound came off. Egypt win the aerial battle. Good pace to the game. Feels the handball. Referee lets it go.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is somebody that has a lot of positive sides, credible positive sides, a civil libertarian, and someone that is a very good administrator. He was elected as governor of Lagos State, having been a senator under SDP, where he even chaired a committee that has now been split into 4 in the Senate: finance, appropriation, and so on and so forth. When he was elected, there was a transition between the military and democracy or civil rule, as the case may be. Those were years that the governors were pioneers. We didn't have a lot of precedents. What he did was to fill in the gap. The governors had challenges of precedents. They wanted to show class. They wanted to show that they could fill in the vacuum, the democratic vacuum that the military administrators had left. Ashwaju on his own set up within that transition period, and it will not be wrong to call it an interregnum, a policy work group, a policy transitional work group that engaged bureaucrats, technocrats, politicians, and everybody that mattered in the society, depending on the subject matter. There were over 20 subcommittees within the committee, each subcommittee subject-based: finance, budget and economic planning, health, education, judiciary, agri, works, housing, transportation, so on and so forth. I can recollect that Professor Olikoye Ransom Kuti was the chairman of the Committee on Health, with a lot of other distinguished doctors and professors, irrespective of where you're from. Professor Patutomi was chairman, I think, Budget and Economic Planning, with a lot of other professionals that could provide facts, figures, data, statistics with respect to budget and economic planning in Lagos. We also had Mrs. Priscilla Kuye. She was MBA president and she was chairman of that committee. I think the vice president, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, was the secretary. We had maybe 5 or 6 professors, and some other sons were there. Maybe about 5 other sons were also there. And that committee also had former DPPs and so on and so forth. People that could provide knowledge, people that could provide information. I can recollect that Dr. Wale Babalakin was also chairing a committee, I think a committee to deal with tourism. And what mattered most was that this committee sat down and worked. They looked at Lagos before, Lagos then, and Lagos in the future. And they came up with blueprint. That is why there is a blueprint in Lagos. Sẹ́nitọ̀ Babájídé Ọmọwúrà rẹ̀ tí mo fi ìgbà kan jẹ́ aṣojú àgbà tó ṣojú ẹkùn ìdìbò ìlà oòrùn Ọ̀ṣun. Mo ní àǹfààní láti ṣe ìjọba pẹ̀lú Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu fún ọdún 8. Mo sì kọ́ oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀kọ́ lára wọn. Mo jẹ́rìí wípé ọmọlúwàbí, oníwà tútù àti aláàánú tí kìí fi ẹ̀sìn tàbí ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà ṣe ni wọ́n. Ọlọ́pọlọ pípé ẹ̀dá tí ìṣe ìjọba yé tó sì mú ètò ìdàgbàsókè ní ọ̀kúnkúndùn ní Aṣíwájú. Olúwa fi ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àti òye jíǹkí wọn, èyí tó jẹ́ àmúyẹ fún adarí rere. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ iṣẹ́ ìdàgbàsókè tí wọ́n ṣe ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ́ ìwúrí, àrítọ́kasí àti àwòkọ́ṣe. Mo ní ìdánilójú wípé tí Aṣíwájú Tinubu bá di ààrẹ, àlàáfíà, ìdàgbàsókè àti ìtẹ̀síwájú á dé bá orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Mo fi àsìkò yìí rọ gbogbo olùdìbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ká fi ìbò wa gbé Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu dé ipò ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ká sì di ìbò wa fún gbogbo olùdíje lábẹ́ àsíá ẹgbẹ́ APC. Èmi ọmọ yín Sẹ́nitọ̀ Babájídé Ọmọwúrà rẹ̀ ló sọ wípé ilé wa rójú, ọ̀nà wa ráyè, ájúṣe fún wa o. By the grace of God, when Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu becomes the president of Nigeria, we are going to have a planned Nigeria. We are going to have a Nigeria that is based on strategy, based on planning, based on vision. A Nigeria that nothing will happen economically haphazardly. It will not be by mistake. It will not be by absence. A Nigeria that there will be a blueprint, like a business plan. What are we going to do? What is the data? What is this? What are the statistics? How many people are we preparing for? Because this is the number of people people in this particular area, and we project that in the next 10, 20, 30 years, there will be wide number of people there. So we will also have a Nigeria that is not just about planning and having a vision. We are also dealing with a man that is also an actualizer, a man that will ensure that all those plans are actualized. They are not just going to sit in the drawer or just going to sit on the table in file. They will be implemented. They will be executed. Apart from that, I think what is also very important to know about is that, yes, we all know he's kind. We all know he has no religious bias whatsoever. He was a pioneer because he worked as a team and he had the benefit of people working with him to tap from. He was the first to do a lot of things, myriad of things, plethora of things, starting from internal generated revenue to the ambulance service, to drain docks, to LASMA, to IPP, Independent Power Project, to so many things that at a point in time, other states were coming to Lagos to have a look at what Lagos was doing. Even the federal government, in a few instances, came to have a look at what Lagos was doing. I can also recollect when we were in the 4th House of Assembly between 1999 and 2003 that Ashwaji was a stickler for the rule of law. Before, as a civil libertarian, as governor, and even when he left as governor of Lagos State. He's always fought for the masses. There are times you wonder why he was getting involved. I can recollect vividly what happened in Oyo State, which was even reported in the Inokoju's case, that Governor Ladoja was removed. He was there. Oyo State was PDP then, but he was there to support independence of the legislature as an arm of government, to support constitutionalism, to support separation of powers, and to support rule of law. What he did was to support Oyo State governor that was being harassed to ensure that justice was done. He did the same thing in Plateau State when Governor Dariye was also being harassed, and the Speaker of Plateau State then, who happens to be the governor of Plateau State now, and his honorable members were detained because they wanted them to remove the governor. And they said, Section 188 is very clear. There is a procedure, there is a process. We cannot initiate impeachment proceedings in vacuum. Somebody must have, 1/3 of the parliamentarians must have put pen to paper and must have submitted their petition to that effect. And he supported them to ensure that justice was done. So we are talking about a man that believed in the rule of law. I had an encounter with respect to provision of the Constitution, I think it's Section 197 now, which is analogous to Section 1 removed. And he said, let's talk about it. I was there with my speaker then, Dr. Mamura, who is the Minister for Science and Tech now, who was also in the Senate. And the Vice President, the Attorney General, was there with Ashwaju. And we looked at the Constitution. And they said, let's follow the law. They have to run their 10 or 5 years. There's nothing we can do about it unless there is infirmity of body, infirmity of mind, or misconduct, and so on and so forth. So a man that has fought so many battles, a man nourish and embellish the jurisprudence, constitutional jurisprudence of this democratic experience. It was right there. Almost all the cases, he was the one championing it. Talk about local government creation. 2 cases are reported to that effect, to first of all determine what will be done. Then when the court now determined, to also make the court determine that the federal government was unlawfully, unconstitutionally, and illegally holding on to the funds of Lagos State. We have the offshore dichotomy issue. We also had the environmental issues. There are lots of issues that went to court to determine that there is separation of power and to determine that the Constitution is supreme in Nigeria in furtherance of Section 1 of the Constitution, that the Constitution is supreme and that any other law that is not in tandem with the provision of the Constitution is null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. So Ashwaju's presidency, what we will see by the grace of God, is a determined man, is a man that is prepared for the office, a man that has vision for Nigeria, a man that will put in place strategy and planning towards achieving the ultimate good for the people, towards achieving law, order, and good governance in every respect: security, infrastructure, economy, and the rest of it. He will not work by reacting to issues. He will work by proacting on issues. He's a man that will ensure that he worked with others as a team. He's a man that believes in the rule of law, believes in the Constitution, that believes in planning before implementing, and that we are going to be sure he's going to implement. He's a man that is not biased when it comes to issue of race. So many people served in Lagos State. They were not from Lagos. So many people served in Lagos State. They were from other religious or ethnic background averse to his. So we are likely to see governance almost for the first time in Nigeria that is going to be run based on research, based on depth, based on facts and figures. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is not just a civil libertarian. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu believes so much in the rule of law, and also believes so much in true federalism that the federal government must abide by what is in the exclusive list, the state government must abide by what is on the residual list and its own portion of the concurrent list. And ditto for the local government. Local government must operate. He believes so much in true federalism that every facet of governance, every arm and every tier of government must also work well. Separation of powers. At no point in time did he put pressure on the parliament when we worked with him. I was opportune to serve with him 1999 to 2007, 1999 to 2003 as chairman of the Lagos State House of Assembly Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Public Petitions, and Ethics and Privileges Committee. And I now became the majority leader, and I was still initially the vice chairman of Rules and Business, and later on the chairman of Rules and Business, before I became the majority leader of the State House of Assembly. At no point in time did he tried to influence the parliament. At no point in time did he try to influence the judiciary. He believed so much in independence of the judiciary, and a lot of things that were planned for the judiciary were actualized. He was the first to buy vehicles for magistrates in Nigeria. He was the first to ensure that all judges, once you become a judge, you are assured of roof over your head. You will not live as a judge and start looking for a place to live when you retire. He made sure that is still being done in Lagos. All these legacies are there. The open door alternative dispute resolution was put in place by him. Citizen Mediation Center was put in place by him. Office of the Public Defender was put in place by him. All of these were done as pioneer. They were never done before in Nigeria. So much so that other states started coming to Lagos to learn what Lagos has done with a view to replicating it in their respective states. He did so much in the judiciary that one would not have any choice to see him from that prism, from that perspective, as somebody that believes in the rule of law, in separation of power, and in true federalism. In his cabinet, he had politicians, but he also had technocrats. And I normally say this to him: he knows how to put round peg in round hole. He knows how to do that. He studies someone and he knows what the person can do. He is a very good human resource manager. Is very good when it comes to placement of staff. Is very good when it comes to moderating meetings. You can never argue off cuff. When he was governor of Lagos State, in fact, let me tell you that you will be fined 10,000 naira if you argued off cuff. So if you don't know what to say, you keep quiet. So the debate in parliament was very robust. A parliament that had senior advocates of Nigeria, had professors, had medical doctors, had experts, had politicians, it was a mixed grill of everybody. Had very young people, had very elderly people, had middle-aged people, had men, had women, had Christians, had Muslims. So all shades, all colors, all manner of opinion were represented, and issues were debated, thoroughly debated, and democratically arrived at. Decisions democratically arrived at. I think in Nigeria, that is what we are going to have. That is what we are going to benefit with the presidency of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu. Asiwaju's cabinet was very robust. Asiwaju is a man that has unquantifiable energy. He worked around the clock as governor of Lagos State, and he's still working around the clock. He's the one campaigning hardest now. When we were in Lagos State House of Assembly, we had opportunity of meeting with him. But most meetings you will hold with him, apart from running government during the day, will be at night. It was nocturnal, and it never mattered. And the following morning, he will still be at his desk. He never believed in ethnicity, and he was not a religious bigot. He had to return schools. He was the first person to return schools. Catholic Church got their schools back in Lagos State. It just felt that the schools belonged to them ab initio. The schools were properly run, and it's going to save me some money to spend on other public schools if the mission schools are returned to the missionaries. They will bring their money and they will run their government. I'm very definite that Asiwaju will handle security issues when he becomes president of Nigeria by the grace of God. In Lagos State, he started RRS, which I also make bold to say was the first. Because he wanted to take security to the grassroots, he also started Neighborhood Watch. People recruited from the local government level, from the ward level, from the unit level. They were liaising with the police and liaising with every other security apparatus in the state. With Asiwaju, Nigeria is secured. Èmi Sẹ́nitọ̀ Babájídé Ọmọwúrà tí mo fi ìgbà kan jẹ́ aṣojú àgbà tó ṣojú ẹkùn ìdìbò ìlà-oòrùn Ọ̀ṣun. Mo ní àǹfààní láti ṣe ìjọba pẹ̀lú Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu fún ọdún 7. Mo sì kọ́ oríṣiríṣi ẹ̀kọ́ lára wọn. Mo jẹ́rìí wípé ọmọlúwàbí, oníwà tútù àti aláàánú tí kìí fi ẹ̀sìn tàbí ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà ṣe ni wọ́n. Ọlọ́pọlọ pípé ẹ̀dá tí ìṣe ìjọba yé tó sì mú ètò ìdàgbàsókè ní ọ̀kúnkúndùn ní aṣíwájú. Olúwa fi ọgbọ́n ìmọ̀ àti òye jíǹkí wọn, èyí tó jẹ́ àmúyẹ fún adarí rere. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ iṣẹ́ ìdàgbàsókè tí wọ́n ṣe ní ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ́ ìwúrí, àrítọ́kasí àti àwòkọ́ṣe. Mo ní ìdánilójú wípé tí aṣíwájú Tinubu bá di ààrẹ, àlàáfíà, ìdàgbàsókè àti ìtẹ̀síwájú á dé bá orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Mo fi àsìkò yìí rọ gbogbo olùdìbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ká fi ìbò wa gbé aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu dé ipò ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Ká sì di ìbò wa fún gbogbo olùdíje lábẹ́ àsíá ẹgbẹ́ APC. Èmi ọmọ yín sẹ́nitọ̀ Babájídé Ọmọwúrarẹ̀ ló sọ wípé ilé wa rójú, ọ̀nà wa ráyè, kájúṣe fún wa o.
You have a split second to get your shot off. That was the case there for Abu Bakar. Zerki, good time pass, not so much the second one. 1 minute. Stoppage time to be added on here. Well, there really haven't been too many clear-cut chances, but it's been an enterprising half of football by these two young sides. To be honest, I was expecting a more cagey game, but Egypt have decided to not exactly throw caution to the wind, but to play the football that they're used to, that they enjoy. You could say Mazar getting a taste of his own medicine. A pretty physical customer. Egypt. Will this be the last action of the half? Free kick to the far post. Booty clear. Sliced it a little bit. Fayed. Walker stuck under his feet. He's beaten for speed. Luckily for him, central defensive partner Abdul Gouda is there to help him out. And that is the half-time whistle. It was lost amongst the din of the supporters. Here at the Cairo National Stadium, the fans, they've certainly played their part and contributed to the atmosphere. And it really just sets up a second half. Perfectly balanced. Both teams leading the victory. As it is, it's even Stevens. Something has got to give. Possession pretty even. Egypt just shading it. No shots on target for Egypt. That's a worry. 1 for the visitors, Nigeria. Egypt, a lot more passing. Edging.
I was pissed at you. Now here's what I'm gonna do. I know I did to love has been great. I hate that.
Add Total Energy. Discover their first match. Marvel at their first exploits. Feel their first thrill. Share their first victory. And become their first fans. Thanks to Orange, proud partner of African football.
Because something tells me, while I sense there will be goals in the next 45 minutes.
Discover their first match. Marvel at their first exploits. Feel their first thrill. Share their
Desperately needing to win. Egypt held to a goalless draw in their opener. Nigeria.
Well, guys, have you checked out the renewed entrepreneurship? Check this out. The Tinubu administration will inaugurate a youth advisory council to the newly developed Employment Action Plan. It will reserve at least 3 cabinet positions for persons under the age of 40 and 6 more positions for members under the age of 50. It will reform the NYC program to bring it into the modern world and make it a platform from which young graduates can spring into their chosen careers. It will establish a presidential fellowship scheme to give talented and determined young Nigerians new opportunities to experience and participate in governance and politics. The Tinubu administration's youth development program in Lagos led to the annual one-day governor through the annual Spelling Bee for secondary school students. Vote APC for the future of Nigeria. This message is powered by the APC PCC Youth Directorate.
It is time. It is time.
It is time.
For too long, the world has viewed us through other people's lenses.
But now, it's Africa's time to tell our own success stories in sport to the rest of the world, the way only we can.
Afro Sport. It's time to celebrate Black excellence in sports non-stop. Over time, sportsmen and women from the African continent and of African descent have bestowed the global stage with their tremendous sporting abilities and produced some iconic performances.
These legends from different spheres of sporting endeavor have graced the theaters of sports drama with their skill and athleticism, inspiring generations with their heroic feats and phenomenal prowess on the field of play.
There's still sport now. Our sport, our heritage, our story. And at the first 45 minutes from the Cairo International Stadium, it's the Flying Eagles of Nigeria nil, the Young Pharaohs of Egypt nil. So as it stands, both teams are still in the hunt for the victory here. Not the best start for the Flying Eagles, it has to be said. I've still got to be Kule Salako here. But they seem to get better as the game went on, although you probably have to question their technique.
Yeah, well, they started the game badly. You know, the Egyptians had them on the ropes to catch them back. But I think after like the 10 to 15 minute mark into their own, string some passes together and start, doing the right things again. But it's just sad that they've not gotten a goal yet in the tournament. They failed to score against Senegal. They played the first 45 minutes of this game and they still not scored. You could see how they started the game. Ladan Boso himself, I don't think...
I haven't seen him this animated in a while.
Yeah, well...
early on, though, they struggled.
Yeah, because he wasn't really impressed with them. He gave away the shot to the Egyptians. They allowed the Egyptians so much space in our box. And I think that was something they corrected after the first 10, 15 minutes thereabout. You can see that again, giving them so much space, letting them strike the ball from every corner of the field that they wanted.
But one thing you probably have noticed in this game, as much as the Nigerian team is under pressure, the Egyptians also are under immense pressure.
Yeah, I think theirs is even bigger than ours as host nations that they are, right? You can see their coach.
And they probably played the easiest team on paper already.
Yeah, they played Mozambique, and you can't compare Mozambique to the Flying Eagles or to the junior Teranga Lions of Senegal. And it was just all around bad. Look at this again, the Egyptian. We gave them so much space in the first few minutes, but I think they steadied the game. They grew into the game, string passes together, and they got themselves together. But it wasn't good. It wasn't good in the first few minutes. If you look at that again, another shot, letting them so much space into our own box. And if you keep giving your opponent chances like this, they will take it. They will take it, right? And that was the same thing we did against Senegal. They took one of them. So I think in the second half we need to do better. We need
just
to
continue to be wave and wave of Egyptian
attacks. You could see that. Just give them so much space, so much time on the ball. Give them enough space to make decisions. Look at the corner kick again. We're just giving them so much space, and that's something that Amboso needs to talk to the boys about.
But the good thing is, on some of the rare forays into the Egyptian half, they did create some decent chances. Yeah. Maybe some better decision making, and we probably could have been ahead.
Yeah, they did. The striker Ibrahim himself. They did create a couple of half chances, but I think they're in a haste to make something happen. when you're in the final third, be calm, try to pick the right pass, and that's something they are failing to do. They are not connecting to the actual player they're supposed to connect to. There was a chance there where he cut back and eventually played the ball to someone that was coming from an offside position. They're not just taking the shot on immediately, right? And that's something I think they need to work on. And I know that Amboso is well experienced. We talk to the boys in the halftime, and obviously when they come back in the second half, they'll do better.
All right, so we will take a break on our coverage of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations here on Afro Sport TV. Remember, all the games are live here on this channel. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll look at the stats from the first 45 minutes and look at what to expect from the second half. Remember, it's Nigeria up against Egypt, second match for the Flying Eagles at the ongoing Africa Under-20 AFCON Egypt 2023. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello guys, have you checked out the Renewed Hope 2023 action plan by Bola Tinubu on his ideas about youth empowerment and entrepreneurship? Check this out. The Tinubu administration will inaugurate a youth advisory council to the newly developed employment action plan. It will reserve at least 3 cabinet positions for persons under the age of 40 and 6 more positions for members under the age of 50. It will reform the NYC program to bring it into the modern world and make it a platform from which young graduates can spring into their chosen careers. It will establish a presidential fellowship scheme to give talented and determined young Nigerians new opportunities to experience and participate in governance and politics. The Tinubu administration's youth development program in Lagos led to the annual one-day governor through the annual Spelling Bee for secondary school students. Vote APC for the future of Nigeria. This message is powered by the APC PCC Youth Directorate.
Welcome back as we count down to the start of the second 45 minutes at the Cairo International Stadium. It's the Flying Eagles of Nigeria up against the Young Pharaohs. It's currently 0-0 at the end of the first 45 minutes. Typically, what do we expect to see as the second half edges ever closer?
Well, I think Ladan Bozum needs to make at least a change. Like I said earlier, our right wing is totally not functioning, and it was obvious. A lot of the waves of attack we had was coming from the left-hand side. So I think he needs to make a change on the right, probably maybe bringing him an Ewuchegbu or somebody. I think the middle of the park is okay because they grew into the game, they kept the ball more and all of that. Well, his
decision making has been, he's not made very intelligent
poor. Yeah,
one.
He's been very poor. He's been very, very poor. And I think he needs to do something about that. Maybe probably bringing Adams Olamilekon, the Remo Stars guy that's on the bench. He did very well in the first game against the Senegalese. probably bring him into the mix, and let's see how he fares with Ibrahim on the left flank. But I think one thing that we need to do better in the second half is close down the spaces. As you can see the highlights, we give them so much spaces in our own half. We give them time on the ball, time to make decisions. And if they had done that, they would have probably, made us suffer for it. So coming into the second half, we need to be tighter. We need to close down the spaces and reduce the errors. We need to reduce the errors.
All right, let's quickly look at the statistics going into the start of the second half here. And obviously, the Egyptians have edged the possession. But in terms of total attempts and some other stats, we are very behind.
Yeah, like what rightly said, the game has not really, come into light, has not sprung up, and that you could see Egypt have 55% possession, Nigeria 45 total attempts. But the key thing there is the shots on target. Nigeria has one and Egypt has none yet, and that was the same thing that happened to them against Mozambique too. They had all the possession and they could only muster just one shot on goal. So it's not been a very brilliant game as we hoped coming into this production. But
we can't be too disappointed with the performance though.
Well, the performance is not as good as I think they could.
But it's not bad, to be honest.
It's not, but if you watch their friendly games building up to the tournament, they scored 86 goals, and now you've played 1.5 games in this tournament and you can't even score. You've not gotten a goal. Right, and I think that's something that they need to work on better.
All right, we did talk about the fact that the Flying Eagles had a couple of constraints. Dan Daga in midfield was stretched off in the first game, and of course they had the substitute striker also sent off in that first game. So in terms of changes, he's a little hamstrung. He has got some options. Some of the guys who've replaced some of the players who have played in this one, not particularly in the game today. Who in particular would you say you're looking forward to seeing who might have an impact on this game come the second half?
Well, I think he needs to bring him Olamide Adams. Like you said, our number 9 playing today has not really made the best of decisions. His older player has not been superb. He's not been making smart runs. He's not been holding on to the ball. He's not been linking up to his wingers. So probably bringing the Remo Stars guy, let him play, let him play, let him give the Egyptian defense, stretch them, make those runs and stretch the defense, right? Bring in Olamide Adams, probably bring in Emmanuel Uchegbu too. And when you bring in these guys, they provide energy, right? They provide energy. You can see Ibrahim Mohammed is doing very well on the left wing. He's carrying the ball for us. But I think the problem is our right wing is very dead. So probably bring in Emmanuel Uchegbu and just bring in Olamide Adams too.
All right, so the second half has begun. You're sticking with 1-0?
Yeah, 1-0.
All right, let's head back to the Cairo International Stadium. It's Nigeria against Egypt.
Only word to describe that duel. Azar, been impressed by his ability to lead his team. Best of touches for your first touch for Augustine and Joko. Lovely control. Killed the ball dead, didn't it? Such a technically gifted player, Esho. Swung over to the left. He did well, did Aldebes. That's good team play. Almost telepathic. Aldebes knew exactly when to leave it for his teammate. Gouda, the last line of defence. Towering header, not for the first time by Omar Fayed. Look at this pinball in that midfield. Neither team able to put a foot on the ball. Desperate, superb interception. That really was last ditch. And so the second half could cheat off in the first. It was telegraphed. Counter-attack possibility here. Eshu. Terrific play. Twice he stood his ground. Top marks for Abalaka there. Fayed can't connect with the header that time. The shot comes in. Well, he didn't get a clean contact on it. That's why it's scuffed across the goal mat. It's a pity. Lirus Sarki. There. Well, he was almost trying too hard to get the angle. Got over the ball too much. Khalil. Just direction. after 3 frantic minutes, we have a lull. You good fans watching at home probably don't need that. I guess the players do that. As young as they are. Communication. Sure. Got the pass off in time. Awad. Maybe a little too clever there. Hazard. It's going to be tough to dispossess that man. Only 19. This is football. Greece, Panathinaikos. Well played. Hamdi. He got the call from the teammates. Nice idea. Well read by Joku. Debes used as a decoy. Khalil almost too much on his cross. Oh dear. He was at 6s and 7s there was Abalaka. Again a good call that time from Hani. Reda. Very good at running into space and exploiting space for Egypt. Hazard does well, pulls the trigger. I'm not surprised he's down. That's Frederick. Tuck it full in the face. Fans look on concerned. Bilal Nazar pulled the trigger. It's virtually point blank the distance. That's going to be in boxing terms, a clear knockout. Should be okay. Nazar really is acting as a leader. Asking the referee if he's adding on time for this. Substitutes warming up. Frederick plays his football. That's how the good news is. He's back up on his feet. Keep it in. He can, and he wants to take it himself. But that makes more sense for Mohammed to get further forward. 5 red shirts back for Egypt. Rare mistake by Eshu. This time the bounce of the ball with his head up. Abalaka. Been caught in 2 minds there. Decision cost them possession. Egypt come and change direction on the halfway line. They've always got to run up, Egypt. This idea, we'll play with backspin so we can keep it in. Deep, very deep cross. You've got to say, pretty well dealt with. By Serki of all people, back in defence. Team effort been shown by both sets of teams as the header blasted over. Ahmed Reda. Now he called. At first I thought he was acknowledging his teammates. Now he's pulled his socks down. Could this be game over for Ahmed Reda? I think that nod of the head is what he's just given to the referee. And I wonder, was it a tackle or was it the way he landed? He did seem to land awkwardly. Just a great and a good watch on. I'd like to see a slow motion replay of this. Ball comes in. Didn't look as if he landed that badly. Awad with the cross. Gets a little push there, but nothing too bad. Sinister. Spectacle. Good to see fans getting behind this Total Energies. CAF under 20, the Cup of Nations. There resumes. Ball booted into the Cairo sky. A lot of aerial combat in this match. Both teams comfortable in the air. Oh, lovely skills. Goes wide, pull back. The referee played the advantage. Now there would have been grounds for a free kick, but the referee decided on the advantage.